backgrounds.
A city based on industry, from market stalls to collieries, owners, directors and entrepreneurs. Oh, we've got all that and more. No matter how high you fly, no matter how far you go, the spotlight's on you and we call Wrexham home.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Wrexham Business Spotlight podcast. Today we're meeting another Wrexham business owner to talk about their Wrexham business and their journey. I'm delighted to be welcomed by Kat Williams from Building Your Confidence.
Thanks, great to be here.
Thanks for coming on, Kat. Delighted to get you on with us.
Yeah.
So for a bit of background, so what I know about you is you're a keynote speaker, a clinical hypnotherapist, a coach, an author, and possibly more things. But do you want to introduce yourself and flesh that out a little bit?
Yeah, so those of you that might have seen me on LinkedIn, I call myself the Stallion Mind Speaker, so I'll be telling more about that. But yes, that incorporates keynote speaking on the kind of power of the subconscious mind, basically, on things like confidence blocks, mindset, mental health. I sort of describe myself as a bookend in a way. There's that speaking to large audiences, and then on the other side, it's really deep, trauma-informed work, as like you say, as a therapist, specialising in the root cause of any issue that people come to me with, which can be things for like panic attacks, fear of public speaking, depression, things like sort of imposter syndrome, self-sabotaging kind of behaviours and limiting beliefs. So yeah, two sides.
So I guess behind the fear of speaking, there are a whole number of possible factors that could be creating that.
Exactly. Now, and the deepest one, usually that really root cause is actually it's a fear of rejection. Because the biggest fear we have as humans, we're very tribal, going back in literally into our sort of DNA programming. So to stand out on your own and fear being humiliated and like laughed at feels like you're going to die fundamentally. So that's why it is the number one fear in our society. It is a fear of public speaking.
It really is, isn't it?
Really is.
Yeah, people are so confident talking in a pub and all that sort of stuff.
They put me up there and they're like, no. And that's what I care about, in terms of Wrexham businesses really is, I just think if people care about what they do, they're actually the ones as well most likely to kind of burn out and have imposter syndrome almost, because you're sort of pushing yourself forward because something matters. You then find yourself going, oh, who do I think I am and can I do this? It's like, yes, you wouldn't be trying unless you gave a damn. So they're the businesses I would really want to support, really, is say, we want to hear more, like shine your light brighter, show people what you do. And also you're then having that knock-on effect to kind of say, if I can do it, like if you can do, this podcast, so can other people.
If I can do it, anyone can, trust me.
In a bad way, but it's about saying, I'm enough, and so are you.
But the reason we do this podcast is there are so many good Wrexham business out there who people need to know about and we need to help promote. And I guess that's what you're doing as well.
Exactly. And I love that, literally spotlight. It's kind of, and that's like public speaking, isn't it? Just don't see it as like a threatening spotlight. Just see it as if I can shine, then I can help other people to know what I do, help them. And then maybe they can help other people.
So what led you to getting down this career path? What's your background?
Yeah, as brief as I can, it kind of goes right back as a child. So I'm a Wrexham girl. I went to Holt School, Darland High School, College Cambridge, Yale College back then. But as a teenager, my dad had a brain tumour and I was only 12. And it affected me onto this path, I think, of like understanding how people recover from obviously literally sort of life and death, either feelings or physical things. So that initially led me into a physiotherapy career. But what I realized instantly, I was only in the job a few months, and I realized it's their mindset. Like some people would basically call me like a physioterrorist, oh God, and I think you're going to really struggle to get better. I'm more of a psychologist to get into your head than I am what I'm doing with your physical well-being. So that led me onto this, like, it actually became really frustrating quite quickly because I thought it's in here, so I actually went away from physio. Partly another thing I'll briefly explain, I've been a military wife for 25 years. So I met my husband out, we were posted to Germany, and I was only at that point, about 24, 25 or something. But the army paid for me then to qualify as a relationship therapist, and that's what led me into the psychological world. Okay. And ironically, for the old I can be so Wrexham here, my mum, from when I was 8, worked for Wrexham Marriage Guidance. Okay. So that kind of rang that bell of like, I've already had this, interest as a child of what makes people tick, how do people get on with each other. So yeah, I did relationship therapy for years. Then I brought in strength psychology coaching. And then I brought in clinical hypnotherapy because I just wasn't getting deep enough to help people well enough. And that's what I do now, is get right to the root cause, and it can change like that.
So did the army put you on those courses for you to work for them in this area?
Yeah, in the sense that, so it's a charity called Relate, and it was called Relate British Forces Germany. Probably doesn't exist now, but because army relationships are severely, challenged by all of the change. I mean, since I left Wrexham, aged 18, I moved 16 times in 18 years before I came back again. And now I live back in Holt. But all of that change and challenge I've had to live through, and I helped other people through it. Yeah, as relationship therapist.
So how long have you been doing sort of stuff you're doing now? I guess it's been a slow sort of
20
journey.
years, really,
Yeah.
20 years.
So the stallion minds, just
Yeah,
put some detail into that for us. What does that mean?
So if you imagine the metaphor behind it is really like a really helpful, I hope, way of explaining how the mind works. So the reason I say stallion mind is, if you imagine a horse and with a rider on it, the horse is much more powerful than the rider, right? But with the right rider, the horse is kind of putty in its hands. So the reason I mention this is, we have 70,000 thoughts a day, up to that number, which you may, not surprising.
I'm not sure I have that many, but
Two.
okay.
Some people think a lot more, obviously. Yeah, those are bigger head of horse, right? But 95% of those thoughts are actually subconscious. They're like just on a loop running in the back, which is kind of like a stallion, just, being in control without you really realizing it. That mind is far more powerful than the 5% that you're aware of. And that mind is very reactive. So again, just like a stallion or a horse, it's wired just for safety, very reactive, very emotional, and can just take over and kind of flood you. It's where the word triggers come from, really. It's when the horse has taken over, you're like, oh, I just feel totally like offline. I don't know what to do. And that's the subconscious. But the point of this is that up to the age of 7 is when that programming is actually grounded in, because we're like a sponge up to the age of 7. And then from the age of 7, 90% of our thoughts are the same thoughts every day, like running in the background, unless we're kind of aware of them and sort of upgrade the programming. Yeah. But basically, emotionally, those triggers take us back to feeling like a helpless 7-year-old. And that's why the rider's kind of like going, oh my God, I want to try and get control. And you're like, yeah, the stallion's just gone. So what I help people to do is understand what the triggers are. And it's 3 main things: not feeling good enough, feeling like rejected or different, or that we don't fit in, or thirdly, believing that other people can have, what we want, but we can't. So those are those sort of 3 things that the stallion's most afraid of.
Is it fair to say everyone is affected by this in different ways, and obviously some more than others who might look for your help? Or...
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're sort of fortunate enough to have a really nurturing childhood, then you will feel much more sort of in control and have that mindset of like, I can do anything. You're like, I'm in control of the stallion, right? Let's go. But for basically all of us, I think, or pretty much all of us, we're all going to have had something in our childhood that made us feel, can I really do this? Am I good enough? Like, have I got what it takes? Because we're so little. So people will come to me with things. I always say this, like, whatever the issue is that they come with is not the issue. And I always say, it's not your issue, it's the issue. Let's find out where it came from, because you're not born with it. So we're actually born with only 2 fears. Do you know what they are?
I don't.
We're only born with a fear of loud noises and a fear of falling. And as a physio working with babies, it's like a startle reflex, and they would test for hearing, is the baby turning their head? You've learned everything else. So the point of this is, if you've learned, am I good enough, and do I fit in and everything, you can unlearn that fear, because it's rooted in a situation when you were like 5, 7, 10 or something. You would go right back under regression, basically under hypnosis, to kind of go, are you still that child? No. But are you still running on that programming and that fear? Yeah, to a great extent. Even if you don't realize it, it's sitting there.
Okay. And you talk about the invisible cage method. Is this related to the stallion, or is this something different you do?
Yeah, I kind of talk more about the stallion now, but the invisible cage is kind of about, if you imagine whatever the issue is. So people might come to me going, why am I still stuck in negative relationships? Why am I procrastinating? Why have I got this imposter syndrome? Why have I got perfectionism, or this like inner critic? That's kind of like the invisible cage. It can be made up of all different sort of descriptions, but it's kind of the same thing. It's wired to try and, it's like the stallion sort of staying in the stable going, oh, is it worth being out there? And I'm glad you brought that up, because it's kind of like everything of this subconscious mind doesn't care that it gets in your way, really. It doesn't care that it keeps you in an invisible cage, because its only job is to keep you safe. So it sort of goes, I'm doing my job, I'm keeping you safe and alive, aren't I?
Yeah.
I think like if you put the rider on the horse, like the conscious mind, that's what people do. It's like, I want to break out and I want to ride off into the sunset and have a good life. So,
Nice. Something we could all benefit from, I'm
yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Yeah. So this is a business podcast, and you do work with a lot of business owners. How does this help people sort of in business?
Well, if I give a quick true example, I went along to 360 networking, which I think maybe a lot of you watching will know. Stood up, did my little 2 minutes, and immediately afterwards, a local business owner came to me and said, so, what's hypnosis then? How can you help me with imposter syndrome and fear of public speaking? He came the following week. We did our 2-hour session. Then he listens to recording for 21 days, which I can explain more about. Came back for the follow-up. He's now out there as a business owner, loving networking, saying yes to public speaking opportunities, and his business has significantly changed because he was able to go back to, I want to understand, Kat, what's the root cause of my fear of public speaking? And he had this sort of physical almost block in his throat when he was asked to do that 2-minute thing. It's like, if you can go to that, I'm in. And he just came the next week, done. And yeah,
So was
just telling everyone about
it was that quick for him then?
It's not quick for
Yeah,
everyone because we change in 3 ways. We change instantly by getting to that understanding. It's literally like all the lights go on. You go, it was that teacher that I haven't even remembered that made me feel small and stupid, or it was that big brother that, always knew better than me. And I just sort of shut my voice down because he was always, it makes sense, but we sort of move on with our lives, fair enough, and we don't really process what it could be and the lingering effects of it. So you change instantly once you sort of turn those lights on. And then the 21-day recording is all about the mind learns by repetition. We literally build new neural connections in the mind. So I just made him a 15-minute recording, putting in new processes, new programming, and it took him forward. Came back for the follow-up, said, how are you doing? And he was like, I'm like a different person.
I guess that recording something he can reflect back on if he needs to
people,
sort of boost.
Some of my clients still listen to it years later if they want to. Some they say the 21 days was enough.
Great. So business owner sort of developing public speaking skills, how would that help them? In what ways would that benefit them?
I think it would really help. So thank you for bringing that up. I'm about to be the incoming president. Well, I am the incoming president of the Professional Speaking Association in the Northwest. And that's because I am passionate of getting business owners to say yes to more public speaking opportunities, because I sort of say, instead of making a difference one-to-one so much, which I do, and I'm sure lots of other business owners do, you can make a difference one-to-many. You can share that extended experience that you might have taken 20 years, accumulating. So I help people with kind of storytelling, like we really connect through stories. And another favorite phrase of mine in terms of how I would help people is, people don't really care what you do until they know like why you do it. And so, and that's where public speaking and storytelling can really kind of connect with people and go, this is why I give a damn, and this is what I'd like to tell you about.
Yeah.
And it really helps.
And you're creating this sort of long form content that is there forever, isn't it? It's always the podcast will always sit out there in the ether for people to sort of slowly find. And
yeah, exactly. So I would definitely encourage anyone watching this, get themselves here for a start and tell your story.
This actually came about because we were having talks with clients all the time, and quite often I think that's actually quite an interesting chat about what we're doing with business and what their plans are. And I was just trying to think of a way to sort of share that out. But yeah, it does help people put something out that will sort of be evergreen, so
yeah,
say.
Exactly. It's really good. And if people do come along to there's something in Chester called Toastmasters, which is called Chester Speaking Club. There isn't a Wrexham one, but we would be great to get one. And that's more like about repetition, learning to speak. But the Professional Speaking Association is maybe more for business owners that want to speak more or speak better in order to get more business revenue. And that's what the PSA is. Okay. Yeah.
So there's two sides then. There's the confidence to speak in the first place is what you're doing, and then there's the mechanics of being a good speaker.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And how to get gigs or opportunities if you want them.
And that's the sort of thing you're doing at the Professional Speakers Association then? Yeah,
so I joined that obviously for my own sake as a speaker to kind of understand how do you market, I suppose. That's why I've honed in on the kind of stallion mind speaker. What do I really talk about? What do I really want to be known for? Because it can be hard for people to really understand, what you do and why you do it and how you do it.
This episode of the Wrexham Business Spotlight podcast is kindly sponsored by AB Accountancy, a leading local firm with offices in both Wrexham and Llangollen, passionate about supporting you and your business with their finances and tax. If you want to get in touch with AB Accountancy, there's a link to their website in this episode description. So I'm not sure if you consider this the pinnacle of your speaking journey, but you've done a couple of TED Talks, haven't you?
Yeah, it is in a lot of ways, but then I think, again, it's not a golden bullet type of thing. But yes, I've done 2 TEDx talks.
Tell us about them.
Well, the first one, I say yes to things. I think that's the other thing. People ask me things like, how do you manifest success? Or, what does confidence mean? And I think the first thing it means is saying you are ready. Say yes, even when you don't feel ready. So, of course, I wasn't ready just to say yes to a TEDx talk. But the first one was 2015. But it was based on my military wife kind of experience. I called it toilet seat therapy. What to do when you don't know what to do. Okay. And I just wanted to be different. I literally put a life-size toilet on the stage. But the point of it was all about stress and mental health. Like sometimes the only place you can pop for 5 minutes to sort of gather your thoughts, it's like lock the door on the loo. You might have screaming toddlers outside, in-laws at Christmas, or at work or whatever. And so it's a little kind of 15 minutes of how do you kind of get your calm and control back when the world might be spinning outside. So I am proud of that one, but I do look nervous in it, but I don't care, it's an example of just do it. And the second one is more, it's called, what is it called? You might know, the Stallion.
Starting with the Stallion Mind. I did watch it last night.
Just Stallion, I think. But I've slightly evolved it from then. And that tells a kind of a heartfelt story of my limiting beliefs. It starts with I was the little girl that didn't really feel she fitted in. And it tells a little story of a little client called Louis, who I really felt a resonance with. He came as a 10-year-old going, he was really, really sad and said, what's the point in me being here, Kat? I don't feel I fit in. All the other boys are like this and I'm not. And so it's the journey of how I helped Louis really through this metaphor.
How does doing a TED Talk come about? Do you approach them? Do they approach you? If there's anyone looking to get into this?
Lucky. I get a lot of people asking me, how do you get them? The first one was Holly Head. An ex-colleague of mine said, I've just seen this, Kat, why didn't you apply? And I did. And I just got in. And the second one, I was helping to coach TEDx speakers at Chester University. And they said, Kat, there's an opening, there's an opportunity. Why don't you be one of the speakers as well? It's not normally as easy as that, but there are quite a lot of locally organised TEDx events. So I'm happy to try and help people if they wanted to look for one. And yeah, they are around.
Yeah, and then polish themselves up. You can help with that sort of stuff as well. And,
yes,
people stage ready.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you're ever stage ready.
Exactly, and you don't need to be stage perfect. What you need is shine that light, put your heart on the stage and your heart and soul, and tell people why you care. And I think that's the biggest thing.
These TED Talks exist on YouTube, don't they? Does that help your business? Do people find you that way, or just having that TED Talk tag on LinkedIn? Or
absolutely, I think it really does have that stamp of sort of legitimacy, whatever you call it. Yes. So I should probably share mine more. Like note to self, it's a bit of that, I guess, we're exposure. Oh gosh, people are going to watch everything. So yeah, I think it's what you do with it ultimately that's going to make a difference. Yeah.
Great. You're also an author. I think you're the second author we've had on recently. Do you want to tell us about your book?
Well, I want my second book to be coming out that I'm kind of, working on. But yeah, the first one is about 12 or 13 years old now. So it's, if people imagine the Keep Calm and Carry On poster, that red poster with the white rose, we don't see it so much these days, but it was sort of on my kitchen wall when my husband was on the front line in Afghanistan. And this is going back, we were living up in Inverness. He's Royal Regiment of Scotland officer. And I was thinking, well, I'm not calm and I don't know how to carry on. And I don't really know how my fellow military wives are doing this. And even though I'd done it for years at that point, I think we all have this time in our lives when you can just feel like, the stallion's bolted or the world's spinning, however you would put it. So it's called Stay Calm and Content, no matter what life throws at you. And it's real stories of my fellow military wives and the clients I was working with are kind of like, how do you rise like a phoenix through the ashes kind of thing, rather than just being almost kind of, sunk or whatever by what's going on. So that's the first book. Yeah, and it's good.
Nowadays you can sort of self-publish books on Amazon. I'm guessing 12, 13 years ago that wasn't an option.
It was actually. It was one of the earliest times it came in. And so I did self-publish it. Yeah, I did. And now it's much easier. There's like Kindle Direct Publishing or something. It wasn't as easy.
I was going to say, how does that work for anyone looking to sort of how the books are there?
It's much easier than it was. So you can literally publish your own book onto Kindle, I think, with Kindle Direct Publishing, and I'm sure there's other things available, But yeah, I would encourage you to do that because again, I think what I would say, and it's really helpful to sort of look back on things really, is so it is first of all just sort of go for things, because the amount you'll learn and sort of hone, like the process of writing a book is a gift to yourself. To be honest, I wrote it to process my own thoughts in a really challenging situation. My husband was away for like 7 months. What am I going to do when, like I say, what do you do when you don't know what to do? In my case, you write a book about it, and then you process your own stuff, you heal yourself, and then you make a difference to other people. So why not, really? If you feel called to do it, do it. You won't regret it. No way.
How long does that writing process take?
It took me a year from
Okay.
kind of deciding to start it and having it in my hand. And I told nobody. Like I say, it wasn't a kind of a, other people said, encouraged me. I was like, just do it on your own, sit down, see what comes, get it out there and be proud of it. Yeah.
And a second book on the way you mentioned then?
Yes, no, and that's the thing. I was going to call it maybe break the invisible cage, but I think now that this stallion metaphor is resonating with people, it will be more about how do you take the reins of your own life? How do you sort of understand the past programming and past fears that might still be present? It's kind of like, heal that inner stallion, take the reins and ride off into the sunset. So it'll be about that.
And that'll be self-published as well, when I guess.
See if I get enough sort of exposure. I mean, at the end of the day, publishing companies will want to make money from the book. So if I get well known enough as a speaker or whatever, then I might be brought on as a traditional author, which would be great. Yeah.
Nice, wouldn't it?
You never know.
I think there's another method here for business owners, or another message, about branding, that everything is following the book and the TED Talk, and it's all following the same sort of branding of the stallion, isn't it?
It is now, yes. And that would be, I've worked with my brilliant business partner called Gail, who's really helped with that. Like, what is, it takes a long time, I've found, or can do, to sort of hone into what does make you a bit different? Why do you really care? And how are you going to really get that message out? So now I feel that's clicking into place of this stallion thing. Makes me different, explains what I do. So.
Great. So people want to get in touch with you. There's a lot of business owners listen to this and watch this and might want to develop their confidence, their public speaking. Where's the best place to find you or speak to you?
Website is buildingyourconfidence.com. Simple as that. I'm on LinkedIn, Cat Williams. What am I? Cat with Confidence on Instagram. Yeah, those are
all the platforms.
Yeah,
all the normal.
Exactly.
Yeah. But also buy your book first and
yes, yeah,
do
exactly.
a little pre-read. Okay. So you've been going this a long time now, and if someone was starting a new business in Wrexham and they came to you and they wanted one piece of advice, what would you tell them to do?
I would say you want to do it for a reason. And so, have faith in that. One of the other things I look at is natural strengths, and that means things like compassion, empathy, creativity, enthusiasm. So I like that question. If I could go back in time and give myself that advice at the beginning, I would want to say, like, who you are is enough. Like, how you're going to run your business comes down to like how you've had other successes in your life. So when I help people in that sort of situation to have the confidence to speak on social media, or like get rid of that imposter syndrome as a business owner, I'd be asking them to think about what other times in your life have you maybe been proud of? And it'll be things that you think are not related, but they are related. So it'll be kind of, when have you made a difference to somebody and they weren't paying you, you just did it anyway? Or when did you do something at secondary or something that you were proud of? And that will show natural like resilience or empathy or creativity or like leadership or developing other people. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's whether you're a accountant, whether you're, a beautician, a hairdresser, like, I don't know, therapist like me, whatever the business is, tune into that and the energy of that, and that will get you up every morning, and that will get you through the day, and that will get a successful business. And I realize now that's what I've done.
Okay. So you guess it links back to being authentically you in a business and not just trying to copy what you see other people do, which is something we've talked about with other people on this podcast. And just because people post in a certain way on social media, you just do it your own way. And
if you can, which does take confidence, which is why I sort of want to help people. And it is about realizing you're enough, because that first issue, that main fear is kind of like, am I good enough? The opposite of that is like, absolutely yes, so it's really trying to tune in, get anyone that you can to help. It's also about who you surround yourself with. Try and surround yourself with people that are going to bolster you, support you, and say good for you, and not people that are like not bringing anything to the party, as I would put it. If they're bringing to the party like what you're doing that for and criticism, try and get them out. Get them out of your party. Get people in the party that go, let's do it. How can I help?
Yeah. What's for saying we become the circle of the 5 most people we see. So if those are 5 powerful people and influential people.
It's not always easy to have those people. But I think recognising that the ones that maybe are there are not bringing much to the party, I think that's where, again, think about how amazing Wrexham is. How amazing is the Wrexham business community? We're actually here to say that's the thing I care most about. I always say I'm not trying to be a lighthouse to big myself up, and I'm not being, I'm doing it to try and make a difference to other people to do it. And you do that by showing that you can do it and helping other people to do it. So I think we're all in this together.
I agree, definitely.
Yeah.
And it is a very, very supportive community,
Exactly.
isn't it? Genuinely. Exactly. People want everyone else to do well. I genuinely find that.
And I think Wrexham is like top of the tree for that. We really do champion each other. I think there will be those that bring others down, but not if you're speaking to the right people, right?
No.
Speak to the right people.
And even in people in the same industries, like I don't find any animosity between accountants. People are happy to talk and help each other out, and it's really nice.
Well, and that's what I realised in the speaking community. I only went to my first conference. I'm now the president, which I wasn't even in it 2 years ago. So again, I just jump in with both feet. But when you do that, you actually realise, exactly the place I need to be. Like, you're definitely not in competition. You're like in collaboration, going, who's going to understand better how to run an accountancy business than someone who's doing it? It's like, see you as an asset and not a threat. And definitely.
Absolutely. Right. What does success look like for you?
Well, this is a brilliant question for me because at the start of my talks, I say, success. I get people from all walks of life, all income brackets, all ages, all professions. And success is not in your bank account. It's not in your accolades on LinkedIn. It's not that title, director or whatever. Success is like in your nervous system, in the stallion. So that's what I help people to feel, is like, if you feel like you're doing the right thing at the right time, you like what you do. I think it was Maya Angelou that put it this way. Success is like doing what you want to do, feeling that you do it well, and liking yourself while you do it. And that's what I help people to do. Feel like success is literally in their nervous system.
Great. I think it's something for everyone to learn, isn't it? But yeah, enjoy what you do, be passionate, and feel like you're making a bit of a difference. Yeah. Right, so we always end this podcast. We always say, Spotlight has been on you for this episode. It's time for you to shine it onto someone else. So we want you to recommend another Wrexham business deserving from praise.
Gosh, I forgot you were going to ask me this, but there's so many, aren't there? Ooh. I do know. I live in Holt, so I think I'm going to celebrate my own little Holt, if that's all right.
Yeah.
And you know what? It is such a magical place. So Megan and Cleopatra's has taken over from the previous. She's called Cleopatra's 2, and I think that takes some courage to continue that name and that legacy, and she's doing really well. So Cleopatra's 2.
That was a very, very established business, wasn't it, already?
Exactly, and I think it takes courage to not sort of change it, but to actually say, no, and she was one of the core sort of employees there, and so she's really taken the reins, from my analogy. She's taken the reins of Cleopatra's 2, and off she's gone.
Taking what was gone well and added her own little twist a bit.
I think good for her.
Great. So it's Cleopatra's in Holt's. Check it out if you want a good cafe. So Kat, thank you very much for doing this. It's been really, really interesting.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And I'm sure it's been beneficial to all the business owners watching this, or all the prospective business owners watching this as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Wrexham Business Spotlight podcast. Please like and hit the share button, and please leave us your comments and thoughts on any of our social media pages. See you at the next one.